the delegation for their responses. We have given a little bit more time to you, but we understand that very important issues and questions were put to you, and we understand that responses had to be given to this. We are very thankful to you for these responses. But unfortunately, we cannot simply listen to you now. But if there is time, and we still have some information, we will also listen with information. We'll also listen with interest. And now it is time for my colleagues to begin asking questions in the interactive dialogue. Are there any colleagues who wish to do this? Please, Mr. Diaconu, and then Mr. Dagoud. Three questions, and perhaps I didn't make myself very clear during my intervention, but I would like to return to a certain subject, the issue of the definition of racial discrimination. As I noted, I find a definition in your legislation which is very clear, similar to ours. I don't know whether perhaps it was taken word for word in your legislation, but the substance is there. My only problem is that the definition was found in the criminal code only, which did not cover all areas of social and economic life in the country. That is the problem. And one should think of a definition which covers all the country's legislation, not only the criminal legislation. That was the problem. The second problem is the link between the legislation and our convention, national legislation, our convention. If I understand the explanations given by our colleagues and members of the delegation, you have a dualist system. That is, that any convention must be turned into, through a domestic law, into domestic legislation. And if this can be done by, whether this can be done by a general law or specific laws in one or another area. And of course, this does raise problems because all countries' legislation must be reviewed in all areas to ensure that the provisions of the Convention are implemented. We have no information yet that there is a law that is contrary to the Convention in your legislation. We have no information on this issue, and I hope that there is not one, but that is the problem. There is a need for a law which can take, which can consider our Convention applicable in all areas. If in one or another area there is a law which is contrary, or an interpretation of a law which goes against the spirit and content of our convention. And the third question regards the language of teaching. I understood the point of view of the delegation. Minority groups and minority ethnic groups need to learn the official language. It's an obligation, a right and an obligation at the same time, and the state has the obligation to offer the means for these groups to be able to study the official language. This is extremely important to avoid any and eliminate any discrimination against these children and people following on in their life. It opens the opportunity up to them to have access to public functions, education and employment. So this is a point on which I have no comment on this issue. My only question is regarding the opportunity given to these groups, the children of these groups, to also study their mother tongue. And if I might return to your report, for example in Merkrom or the Hmong language, these mother tongues. As a first or as a second language, there are countries where the mother tongue is only studied in the from first to fourth years of school, and then afterwards only the official language is studied. But they have already learned their mother tongue. and studied it at a first stage, and there are other countries where the mother tongue is studied as a second language in parallel with the official language for a certain time. But in my opinion, there's a need to find a way to ensure that the mother tongue of these groups is also studied at public schools, because it is the only means to preserve these languages, so that future generations can learn these languages at school, and so they can then pass on their language to subsequent generations. It's the only way to avoid the language being lost, which, at the end of the day, means a loss of culture, a loss of civilization, a loss of a whole range of knowledge, a loss of the identity of the respective group. So those are the questions that I asked, and of course I do not request any response. These are comments, and I hope that the delegation has now better understood my point of view. Thank you.
Merci.
Thank you, Mr. Diaconu. But in any case, I must give the delegation the opportunity to respond to the comments or the questions. If you please.
Monsieur le Président, je voudrais...
Mr. Chair, thank you very much for giving me the floor, and I'm going to try to speak French. So, as regards Article 76 of the Criminal Code, which was adopted in 2005, this is a new article. In the observations and recommendations of the committee, this features in this law, and of course your comments will be useful in, of course, in the process of creating our law. We are going to reflect on your comments, and we're going to study them. Thank you.
Thank you for the question related to language teaching or language instruction. Actually, we have no objection, like you mentioned. But however, like I mentioned, it's not just easy to develop one language for the ethnic groups. So we need research evidence base first. Then, and also, as I mentioned, we still in a process of consultation on this issue in the country, because also enjoy the ASEAN country for the 7 country on mother tongues. So the still in the process of consultation at the moment, and as I mentioned, the factors, because our children, our ethnic groups live together in the same village. So if you use only one ethnic groups in the schools, very hardly how the other groups can understand something like that. Then we need a research evidence base. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I would like to discuss about the learning the ethnic groups. And I would like to confirm that the national languages, the official language is very important, as well as the ethnic languages. In my experience, when I was a child, I don't know Lao language. I know only Hmong language, and then during the war, I know only the Hmong language. Is it very difficult for me to learn and to cope with the sense to cope to study the scientific in any sense and study? So, but I attend the school for the ethnic groups. I enjoy my life there. I can learn Lao language. I can learn other languages. I can enjoy the arts and also scientific subjects. The school for the ethnic group is a very good example to build myself today as a minister. And so there are in Hmong language or in the ethnic languages, only the spoken one. There is no very limited the written one. So quite difficult. Is it quite challenging for us? Thank you for your concern.